it's actually happening as we have multiple surprising Jays updates to go over today, as these updates are not only surprising, but have fans fired up. We're going to break down exactly what they are and discuss what this means going forward, as well as break down a few new updates ahead of today's game against the Orioles. The Jays look to split the series. So stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. Before we get into it, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. And about 71% of you who are watching aren't subscribed to the channel. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. Also, a quick note, we should be live tonight. We're going to be going live mostly every Sunday, so we should be live later on tonight. So stay tuned for that if you want to tune into the live stream. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jays do play this afternoon, but most importantly, we have some big updates to go over today as it pertains to a couple of the key players that the Toronto Blue Jays have both missing, and of course, some updates surrounding their team. Let's dive right into this, and I want to start with Max Scherzer. Now, there's a few different updates to go over today. We're going to start with Max Scherzer. So his thumb had some imaging done in Baltimore yesterday, and everything looked normal per manager John Schneider. He threw on the flat ground again today, still considered day-to-day with no immediate plans to get back off of a mound. So the Max Scherzer one is extremely interesting because you're at a point now where not only are you in between kind of, Max Scherzer, there was points where we thought he was going to come back soon. And then, of course, points where he wasn't coming back soon. Of course, he had imaging done and it came back really good, but there's still no plans for him to return to action. And I'm okay with that for now. Get him fully healthy, whether that's weeks, whether that's months. You have Alek Manoah come back in August. You have, of course, Ethan Lucas. We'll dive into it a little bit here. But that was the quick update on Max Scherzer. The good news is it hasn't gotten worse. The bad news is no immediate plans to get him off of a mound. Now, as it pertains to the bullpen guys, you have Ryan Burr. We have an update in his front. So he went through a bullpen today and it went well per manager John Schneider. Fellow reliever Eric Swanson is ahead of Burr as he's slated to face live hitters a couple times next week. This is huge, huge news. So it seems that Ryan Burr, who is going to be a pretty crucial part of this bullpen eventually, he's going to be a little bit behind Swanson, but he's working back at it today. But Swanson's return here is looking fairly imminent. And boy, oh boy, could the Jays use him. They've been using Nick Sandlin in his position. And of course, Nick Sandlin's done a fairly good job, but you're going to need multiple guys, especially at the point where you're at now with the bullpen. The starters have done a very good job. The bullpen is fairly rested. Didn't have to use a ton of them in yesterday's, unfortunate loss to move the Jays to 8-7. But regardless of that, you're now looking to split the series against Baltimore. And the good news is you have some, reliable relievers coming back, not for tomorrow's game, but next week. And again, you can see here, you expect to face live hitters this week. But I want to dive into the big storyline of today, and this is Dalton Varsho. Blue Jays center fielder Dalton Varsho has ramped up to 200 feet in his throwing program and is expected to play full go defensively in extended spring games early next week. If all goes well, his AAA rehab assignment will follow, but Varsho's wife is also expecting a due soon, which could impact timings. This is very good news. It's actually happening. Varsho is back to throwing at a long distance, which is absolutely huge for this team. Now, I saw a bunch of people talking about it in yesterday's, on Twitter and stuff yesterday following the game. This team needs Dalton Varsho's, not only defense center field, they need his bat back because they've replaced him with, who has mostly been Nathan Lucas, who hasn't been very good at all. 460 OPS, 467 OPS coming into yesterday's game. He had a, hit yesterday. But they need Dalton Varsho back. He is a power threat. He is one of the best defenders in baseball, and he really lengthens out this lineup. We've seen Kirk get moved all the way down to 7. He hasn't been hitting well at all. You add Dalton Varsho back, that's when this team becomes very, very scary. And obviously, what they're missing right now is the long ball. Vladdy hasn't hit his first home run. Bichette hasn't hit his first home run. Santander hit his first home run in yesterday's game against the Orioles. Hopefully, he can do that again today. But the only thing this team is missing, they've lost 3 games because they haven't been able to drive runners in scoring position, but also haven't been able to hit the long ball. And we saw in yesterday's game, specifically the Orioles, they had at one point 2 hits, and it was a tie game. The Jays had 8 hits. The Orioles had 2 hits. But because the Orioles hit 2 home runs and they rely heavily on the home run ball, at least in yesterday's game against the Blue Jays, it unfortunately got turned to a game where the Jays lost. And that was because of the home run ball. And Dalton Varsho, whether you want to think, he's a good hitter or not, he's about a league average hitter in his career. He hits home runs, and he hits them at a better clip than a lot of the guys who are currently replacing him, especially, David Schneider's fallen off. Nathan Lucas, Miles Strahd's been great, but he doesn't hit home runs. So to see him ramping up, I'm expecting, late April, early May for Dalton Varsho, which is fine. Of course, you would have liked to see him earlier on in this month because this is the most brutal stretch of play for the Jays all year. You have a game today, and then, of course, you start the series tomorrow at home against the Braves, and which is going to be very exciting because Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will be back. But this is very big. It is a very big, update for the Jays, and really a bunch of big updates because, again, Eric Swanson, there's a world here by late April. You have Dalton Varsho back and Eric Swanson back. And then now you're looking at a bullpen that's stretched out even more. You have a Dalton Varsho. You have your center fielder probably of the future as well, because they're probably going to work on an extension on him in the offseason. But regardless, you get him back who's a power threat and is one of the best defenders in baseball. He really shapes out this team, and they can maybe replace him with Andres Jimenez in the cleanup spot, add some power there depending on how things go, and then move Jimenez down, and then things are really starting to stretch out. They seem to like Bichette at the leadoff spot. Whether that sticks is still up in the air, but at the end of the day, his team needs power, and having more guys who are capable of hitting for power will go a long way, even though we all know Dalton Varsho isn't the power threat that you want as your 3 or 4 hitter like Vladdy or Santander, but he is at least a guy who can hit home runs and is capable for hitting home runs. So a few huge updates, and it's good to see that it's actually happening. He's finally moving above the 100 to 100 feet range. I mean, we saw him hit in spring training. He had 2 home runs, I believe, maybe even 3 home runs in spring training there a few weeks ago, and it's going to be very interesting. Now, as we dive into some more updates ahead of the Brave series, because of the way the game was rained out there, the Jays actually, this is the last game of the series today against the Orioles, and they'll be replaying the other one on July 29th. The Jays start a series with the Braves tomorrow at home, finally return home in front of the home crowd. Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s extension, the first game since then. Their plans for starting pitching, you have Easton Lucas, Kevin Gausman, and Chris Bassett. So your three aces minus José Berríos, who starts today. But jokes aside, there is a good chance that on Tuesday, or Monday or Tuesday, that Spencer Strider faces the Toronto Blue Jays. He comes out of his injury, and he's going to be coming out and most likely playing the Jays at home, which has pretty big implications as well, because the Jays need to win this game today. I'm declaring it a Jays Digest must win. I do a few of these a year. Get back into the winning column. They've lost 2 heartbreakers in a row. They should have won both of those games. It's the way baseball goes sometimes, and you could argue that they should have lost a couple of the Red Sox games, just the way baseball is. But if you want to come out and really set yourself up well for this home stretch, because look at the games they have to finish the season. You go up against the Braves, a very good team, although horrible this year. They've been horrible this year, historically great. You go up against the Mariners, you go up against the Astros, Yankees, Red Sox. An absolutely brutal stretch of play. But the good news is you have your good pitchers going up in this Braves series, and hopefully the Jays can take advantage of a Braves team that has been very poor this year, starting off really, really bad. And as you look at the AL East standings, the Jays are now half a game back of the Yankees. The Boston Red Sox choked. I said in yesterday's video that I thought they were going to win, and that they were winning against the White Sox, which they were. It was 2-0. They choked. I believe got walked off or something like that. They lost in the 9th inning to the Red Sox. The Red Sox did to the White Sox, sorry. Horrible loss. They're struggling. The Rays struggling, obviously not in Tampa Bay. Baltimore kind of struggling, but if you win today, 9-7, you're in a very good spot heading home. So this game, I'm declaring it a Jays Digest must win, and hopefully the Jays can take care of business against Cade Povich. Gonna be interesting to see if Alan Roden gets in the lineup, if they do any changes there. There's been a lot of people clamoring to get Addison Barger, who's been crushing it down at AAA, at least power-wise, get him into the lineup so you can have some sort of power on this team. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, the Jays, they're rolling. Not rolling. They've lost 2 games in a row, but they need to get rolling, and hopefully they can do that with a win this afternoon. We'll keep you up to date. We'll have a stream most likely after the game later on tonight, a couple hours after the game. So stay tuned for that if you guys want to. Thank you guys for watching. Cheers.